Welcome to Java programming session. In the previous sessions, we have discussed about object-oriented programming concepts related to Java. So that is, we have discussed about classes, objects, data abstraction, data encapsulation, message passing, inheritance, and polymorphism. So these are called OOP concepts, object-oriented programming concepts. Now in today's session, we are going to discuss about Java naming conventions. So what are these naming conventions? Means this is the tradition in Java that how a method name should be assigned and how a class name should be assigned. So this Java naming conventions talks about how to assign a name and what are the formalities that we have to follow when you are naming a class in Java, when you are naming a method in Java. So that we are going to discuss here in this class today. So here if you see, in every Java program we are having a class definition. So class definition is mandatory in every Java program. Without class definition, it is not possible to write a Java program. So therefore, every class should be assigned a name in the program. And how we are assigning the name to a class. So here there are some formality to select a name for the class. When you have selected a name, how to write that name as a class name. So when you are writing a name, when you are assigning a name to a class, that class name should start always with a capital letter. So class name we have to start with a capital letter. Suppose if the class name is having multiple words, then first letter of every word must be written in capital letters. Suppose if you are naming a class as student class, then in the student is the name of the class. The first letter in the student class, S must be capital. And if you are creating a class with the name employee, so employee is a one word, so therefore first letter in this word must be capital. So it is just a convention, not the rule. Rule is different, convention is different. So convention means it is the formality that they are following while assigning a name to a class, while assigning a name to a method. So even if you do not follow this formality, if you simply write a class name in all small case letters, your program will be compiled successfully and your program will be executed successfully. There is no problem in that. But if you are following this convention, it is easy for any people, by looking at that name, they can easily tell whether it is a class name or method name. So for that identification purpose, these formalities are followed. It is only a formality, it is not a rule. Rule means it is mandatory that you have to follow. You must follow that. That is called a rule. And if you are not following the rule, then your program will not be get compiled. So that is the difference between a convention and the rule. So here these are only conventions. So if you are following these conventions, anybody can easily understand your program. Anybody can identify by looking at the names in your program. They can identify whether it is a class name or method name. So here class name should always start with a capital letter. If the class name contains multiple words, so then every first letter of every word must be written in capital letter. So these are the examples. Suppose if you are assigning a name as student to a class, means if you are defining a student class, in the student class S must be written in capital letter. Suppose if you are defining a class with the name employee, so employee is a one word, so E must be capital in the employee word. So employee is representing the name of the class. Suppose if you are selecting a name to a class that contains multiple words, here I have given one example, sum of ints. In sum of ints, three words are there. Sum is one word, of is one word, and ints is another word. So every first letter in every word must be written in capital letters. In sum, S must be written in capital letters. and then in off, O must be written in capital letters, and in ints, I must be written in capital letters. And another name, suppose if you are assigning a class name as calculate product. So in the calculate product name, you are having two words. So that is, one word is calculate and another word is product. So in every word, first letter must be the capital. So therefore, in calculate, C must be capital, and in product, P must be capital. So this is the convention that you have to follow when you are assigning a name to a class. So what is the convention? The first letter in every word of the class name must be the capital letter. And what is the convention for assigning a name to a method? So this is the second convention. Method name should start with a small letter. Method name should start with a small letter. And if the method name contains multiple words, the first letter of first word must be small. And from second word onwards, first letter in every word must be the capital. So, what is the convention? In the method name, first letter of first word must be the small. And if you are having more than one word, from second word onwards, first letter in every word must be the capital letter. So here we have given some examples to understand it. We have written, suppose we are defining a method called next. Next is having only one word, so therefore it should start with a small letter. And then another method whose name is next integer. So it contains two words. Next is one word, integer is another word. So first letter in the first word is small, and first letter from second word onwards capital letter. So therefore second word, that is integer. In the word integer, I is the first letter that should be written in capital letters. So in the next integer method, N is small letter, and in the second word first letter I is the capital letter. And here another method name is given, add values to. So here the method name contains three words. One is add, and another word is values, and another word is to. So first letter in the first word is small. From second word onwards, first letter must be the capital. In values, V is capital, and in to, T is capital. So like that it is written. So these are the two naming conventions that we have to follow in Java. And there are certain rules. So these rules, syntax rules, they are taken from the C language, and almost all syntax rules, whatever are there in C language, they are also there in Java language. That is, all programming statements must be written in small case letter. It is a rule, not a convention. If you are writing any statement in Java in capital letters, that is not identified by the Java compiler, because Java language and C language, C++ languages, these languages are case oriented languages, case sensitive languages, means they are able to distinguish between the small case letter and capital case letter. So therefore all programming statements in Java must be written in small case letters. And like in C language, every statement in Java should end with a semicolon. So when you are writing a assignment statement, or when you are writing a declaration statement, or when you are writing a output statement, when you are writing a input statement, or when you are writing a processing statement, all these statements must be end with a semicolon. If you are not keeping semicolon, compiler will raise an error at that line. So this is also taken from the C language. And another thing is, it is better to follow indentation while writing the statements. So what indentation will do? Indentation will improve the readability of your program. If you are using indentation while writing the program, that is, when you are opening a brace, next line that you are writing after the opening brace must be given some 4 or 5 characters space from the brace position and they are to be written. You have to give 4 or 5 characters space from the opening brace, and all the statements you have to written like that until you close the brace. Means between the opening brace and the closing brace you are not supposed to have any statements in between them. So opening brace should be able to sit directly the closing brace. So if you are writing programming like that, you can easily identify what is the block belonging to a method, or what is the block belonging to a if statement, and what are the block of statements belonging to some for loop or while loop. So all this you can easily identify. So like this, these there are some naming conventions. Naming conventions are there for classes and methods, and there are certain rules, syntax rules and semantic rules. Syntax and semantic rules are similar to the syntax and semantic rule that we have studied in C language. So this is how you have to follow the conventions of the C language, Java language.